You'll recall that in Lesson 5 we have discussed a fundamental theorem of the Kruhotvary, which states that the theme is the prime determinant of any Kruhotvary. We have also determined that the object or the set of objects on layer 0 define the theme of a Kruhotvary. With that in mind, we ended Lesson 5 by asking what would happen if we changed the color or the position of the object or the set of objects on layer 0, and whether any of that would change the theme of the Kruhotvary. First, let's consider the color of layer 0. We've actually done it already. We started with a plain white line. We were able to go up to layer 5, but then had to stop. So we gave the object on layer 0 a red stroke. That allowed us to see the layer 5 Kruhotvary much better. But did it change the theme and give us a different Kruhotvary? Or did the stroke simply produce a variation on the same theme? How about when we changed the color from white to yellow? And when we further changed it to reflect the light and look more three-dimensional, was any of it a new theme, or was it a variation on the theme? To attempt to come up with a meaningful answer, let's consider a car. Does the model and make of a car change when its color changes, or when it gets fancier trimmings? Most people would say no. In the Kruhotvary, if the shape of the object or the set of objects on layer 0 remains the same despite the change in its color, we usually say we have a variation on the theme. The other question from Lesson 5 was, what happens if the object or the set of objects moves to a different location on the imaginary circle? As you can see, the result of such a move can be quite transforming. It is still just a variation on the theme. After all, we define the theme as the object or objects on layer 0, and simply moving some objects doesn't change them, though such a move can result in some very interesting animations. Finally, we were asked what if the only movement was a rotation about the center of the imaginary circle. Did you figure out that our Kruhotvary was a fixed object, so rotating the contents of layer 0 would simply rotate the whole Kruhotvary and no other change would happen? If so, perhaps you didn't account for the fact we did not rotate layer 1. We flipped it horizontally. Because of that, some parts of the Kruhotvary rotate at a different speed than others. Would it be different had we opted not to flip layer 1, but to rotate it? This is what our Kruhotvary would have looked like. And quite predictably, rotating the object or the set of objects in layer 0 would then result in rotating the whole Kruhotvary. This, however, also shows us that in most cases, opting to flip a layer results in a more interesting Kruhotvary. That's not to imply you should always flip a layer. It all depends on what you want to accomplish. That's all for this lesson. Hasta la pasta.